In 2009, on my 22nd birthday, almost 11 years ago now, I flew to Japan for the first time. I was in a group and I also had enough funding with me, so enough money, and this was the first time for me in my back then short adult life. And these two factors made it that I had almost nothing to care about when I was here. So I had enough money, no problem, and I had people with me that could take care of everything. I didn't need to know any Japanese, in fact I also didn't. And English was just fine, even though most people in Japan didn't speak it, and it's still not that good right now. We had a stay in Tokyo for I think 2 or 3 nights. We practiced once in the Hombo Dojo, that's the main training hall of what I practice, Aikido, at my teacher's class. And then we went to Nagano Prefecture, to the mountains. Looks fantastic there. It's really nice, really nice. What you're seeing now was taken last December. It had just snowed a little bit, but the ski season hadn't started yet, so it was almost no other people. We were the only ones in the hotel, and it was the same back then. So the hotel I went to this time, last year in December, was the same we went to 2009 for the practice. This kind of hotel is common in the area. They have a training hall connected to the hotel, so you don't even need to get outside. You just stay in the hotel. Because we were so many, we had it all for us. And then you go to the training hall, you train, you practice, and then you go to the onsen, the hot spring, which is included in the hotel. And then you eat, and you drink, and you talk to your teacher, who's Japanese, by the way, who was Japanese, he passed away last year. And then you train again, and then you go into the hot spring again, and maybe take a walk outside, enjoy the nature. And you repeat that until it's over, the seminar. After that we went back to Tokyo for 5 days this time. I went to train a little bit, but I would say not too much to not enjoy Tokyo itself. So we enjoyed a lot, we have explored a lot, and like I said, I had enough money, at least for what I needed, and it was fantastic. So I think I really fell in love with Japan back then, and I had been telling about this experience to my friends and telling stories for the coming 5 years. So it was really impressive, fantastic experience. And if you want to come to Japan, visit as a tourist, I really recommend that. I think it's a fantastic tourist destination. In 2014 I went to Japan for the second time, this time to visit my now wife. And again, it was fantastic. She lived in Nagano City, so we went there, and from there we went to Kanazawa, which is on the Sea of Japan side of Japan, and had a great time. So we visited a garden, a real Japanese garden. I think it's the 3rd or 2nd most beautiful in Japan, officially. And castle and museum of contemporary art, which was also interesting. And ate lots of great food. We went to the best hotel I've ever been to my life. It was fantastic, and yeah, it was so great. And then I went eventually, now skipping going to Japan 2 more times, eventually in 2016 I moved to Japan with my wife. Then she was my wife already. And we moved here, and just 5 days later 2 friends came and visited me. So they came, I picked them up at the airport, then we went to Osaka, to the mountains close to Kyoto, then to Kyoto itself, and also again to Kanazawa, to Nagano, and then down to Tokyo again. This was like 2 weeks, and then they left. And when they left, I felt so lonely. I've never felt that lonely in my life before. It was really horrible. So I was this was 2016, so I was 29. Just turned 29, and I have a really good connection to my family, and I have rather small siblings, so my brother and I are 17 years apart. So not having my family, which I was very close to, and then eventually seeing my very good friends leave, this was really hard. Of course, my wife was still there, but this was a really tough time for me. And essentially, when it comes to social contacts, except for my wife, I had nothing. So no friends, no family, almost no family, no job because I was self-employed, so I worked from home. There was, in this country, I didn't speak the language almost. So this was a really big challenge, not only cultural, but also emotional. 1 year later, in 2017, I went back to Germany for 2 months. I worked a little bit there and I practiced with my teacher and also spent a lot of time with my family. And this time, these 2 months were actually really, really nice because it was the other way around. So before I went to Japan as a tourist and now I went to Germany, my own country, as a tourist. And it was much easier for me, obviously, because I speak German a lot better than Japanese still, and definitely back then. And I worked, but I didn't work too much, so it was like holiday almost all the time. We still had enough money. I had the people I cared for most around me, my wife, my kid, and my family, my German family. And it was a fantastic experience. And then we went back to Japan again in July, which is a really bad time to come to Japan, in case you're wondering, because it's so hot and humid. And then if you arrive here, jet-lagged with a crying baby, and then you go home, and because you left for 2 months and you stopped the water, and then you realize you don't know how to turn it on again because a company did it, and they're not available until the next day, then it's really not fun. So then we went to sleep at my mother-in-law's house, which is, I guess, almost natural that it's not fun as well. And all in all, yeah, I wasn't so lonely this time, but rather annoyed. And I felt like maybe we should move back to Germany. Also, of course, my siblings are much younger than I. So I have 2 younger siblings. One is 17 years apart, one is almost 14, 13 and a bit. And not seeing them grow up after the 10th or so year is not so easy. Especially because I'm close to them, and at least for the younger one, I think I'm somewhat of a role model. I think for them as well as for me, it's not easy, especially at the airport. Today I still live in Japan. I work for a Japanese company in Tokyo now, so my social interactions definitely increased. Also, my Japanese is better than when I first came here, but everything else would probably be an embarrassment. That being said, it's still far from perfect. Now, to answer the question at hand, will I move back to Germany or will I leave Japan? Now, if my time here, my 3.5 years, have taught me one thing, then it is that definitely the grass on the other side of the fence is always greener. So if I want to move back to Germany on the assumption that my life there will be as it is when I'm there on vacation, so I can spend all the time I have with my family, my friends, and all the people I care so much about, and at the same time have no financial trouble while not working, then that's probably not going to be the case. In fact, it will probably just be the way it is when I came to Japan, only the other way around, that this time my wife will have this experience. So I will work all the time, she will have no social interactions, she has to take care of the kids, she doesn't speak the language, at least not enough, and she will have all the trouble I had when I came to Japan. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I think we should challenge ourselves. But now to give a definitive answer to the question, will I leave Japan? Not now. In the future, who knows?